Europe. A crowded competitive car market dominated by famous brands has proved elusive for Chinese car makers in the past. They made strategic slips and also contended with a perception that China, long associated with cheap mass production, could not compete on quality. Whether it's Peugeots crossing the boulevards of Paris or Volkswagens cruising along Germany's autobahns, some European car brands are as familiar with the country they represent as any famous tourist attraction. Current electric cars in Europe are mostly overpriced city cars. They are too expensive for average earners and let down by poor long-range capabilities, which can be eclipsed with ease by the cheapest gasoline or diesel vehicle. Consequently, they are heavily dependent on subsidies to move the metal. The electric car revolution desperately needs affordable vehicles, which will sell on their merits, like utility and price. The quality and, more importantly, the affordability of Chinese EVs is becoming a situation that is harder for European manufacturers to ignore with each passing year, and it could be just a matter of time before the market becomes flooded with imports from China. How have Chinese manufacturers been able to get such a foothold in the EV revolution? And why are their cars so modestly priced? Past failed attempts by Chinese car makers to conquer Europe are unlikely to hurt Chinese EV makers today, as consumers have grown accustomed to electronics coming from China. Such failures including Brilliance in 2007, whose vehicles received 1 out of 5 stars in a German car crash test, damaging the brand. According to an automotive data analysis firm, Jato Dynamics, Europe's market for small electric cars will soon be dominated by China unless swift action is taken by the European Union, or the EU, to allow manufacturers to provide cheap vehicles for the mass market profitably. The dramatic divergence in the price of EVs in Western markets is perhaps the first and most illustrative place to start. According to the same Jato Dynamics report, the average price of a new electric car in China since 2011 has fallen from 41,800 euros to 22,100 euros, a drop of 47%. In stark contrast, the average price in Europe has increased from 33,292 euros in 2012 to 42,568 euros this year, a rise of 28%. In the UK, the average retail price for an EV is 52% higher than that of an equivalent internal combustion engine, or ICE-powered model. That degree of divergence is a severe problem when electric cars still struggle with low-range capabilities compared to their diesel or petrol counterparts. Not to mention the growing, but still relatively small network of charge points in many European countries. If traditional ICE owners are finally looking to switch to electric vehicles, the financial incentive still isn't obvious. And that's where China comes in. Ross Douglas, founder and CEO of Autonomy Paris, a global event on sustainable urban mobility, said, "For the first time, Europeans will have competitive Chinese vehicles trying to be sold in Europe at competitive prices with competitive technology." With the now decommissioned Tegel Airport operating as its dramatic backdrop, Douglas spoke last month at the Disruptive Mobility's discussion seminar, hosted by the annual Berlin Questions Conference. He believes 3 factors make China such a threat to the hegemony of Europe's traditional car manufacturers. China has the best battery technology in the business. First of all, they have the best battery technology and have locked up a lot of the important ingredients in the battery, like the cobalt processing and the lithium-ion, explained Douglas. This is no longer a secret. China is the world's biggest market for EVs, with total sales of 1.3 million vehicles in 2020, more than 40% of sales worldwide. Chinese battery maker CATL controls about 30% of the world's EV battery market, and cobalt specialist supplier Darton Commodities estimate the Chinese refinery supplied 85% of the world's battery-ready cobalt last year, a mineral that helps to improve the stability of lithium-ion batteries. Most of that cobalt comes from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, or DRC, where almost 70% of the mining sector is dominated by Chinese companies. China's connectivity technology. The second is that they have a lot of the connectivity technology that electric vehicles need, such as 5G and AI. While years ago, one would have thought a made-in-China phone would be subpar to a European or Western phone connectivity-wise, China has recently upped its game in that respect as well, especially in the terms of technology that electric vehicles will be needing. China's government support. And then the third reason is that there's just a huge amount of government support for electric vehicle car makers in China, and the Chinese government wants to be the world leaders in electric car manufacturing. While China's significant manufacturing capabilities have never been in doubt, the question was whether it would be able to innovate to the same degree as its Western counterparts. That question has been answered in the form of their batteries and the technology they're able to implement inside their vehicles, although parts of the industry are still subsidized by the Chinese government. Governmental involvement in the Chinese EV market means that production costs will become far cheaper than their European counterparts and at retail prices that average earners would consider reasonable. Consumers over the next few years will become familiar with manufacturers such as NIO, XPeng, and Li Auto. One size does not fit all. While NIO and XPeng have been hiring staff to build up their organizations in Norway, SAIC's MG works through a car importer to sell cars in a handful of European markets. iWays is trying to lower cost approach to selling cars in Europe, though the company says it will definitely vary by market. In Germany, for instance, the company sells its cars through Euronics, an association of independent electronic retailers, rather than building traditional dealerships. Current European Union regulations greatly favor the profitability of heavier and pricier EVs, leaving almost no room for smaller European cars to make a decent profit. If Europeans don't do anything about this, the segment will be controlled by the Chinese, said Philip Munoz, global automotive analyst at Jado Dynamics. Smaller electric vehicles such as the immensely popular in China Wuling Hongguang Mini are where European consumers could turn to if they continue to be priced out of their own markets. With average sales of around 30,000 per month, the pocket-sized city car has been the highest-selling EV in China in the past year. However, China's rapid production has not been without its challenges, though. According to China's Minister for Industry and Information Technology, there's too much choice currently and the Chinese EV market is at risk of becoming bloated. In recent years, the number of EV companies in China has ballooned to around 300. Looking forward, EV companies should grow bigger and stronger. We have too many EV firms on the market right now, said Zhao Yaqing. The role of the market should be fully utilized and we encourage merger and restructuring efforts in the EV sector to further increase market concentration. Consolidating their own market and eventually phasing out consumer subsidies are the largest steps towards finally cracking the prestige of the European market that China craves so much. China's ambition is to be the Apple of electric cars, and that they are ubiquitous and that they are global brands with little competition across the world. For them, it's really important that they can get those vehicles sold in Europe, because Europe is a benchmark of quality. If the Europeans are prepared to buy their electric cars, that means they are of the quality that they are trying to achieve. Unless European regulators and manufacturers create a more affordable market, it may only be a matter of time before the likes of NIO and XPeng are as familiar to Parisians as Peugeot and Renault. That will be all for now. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Also click on the notification bell to get notified whenever we upload a new video. Do you agree that China might take over the electric vehicle market in the coming years? Please leave your opinions in the comments section below. Thank you.